Daming problema ang kinakaharap ng Department of Education, lalo ng mga teachers, sa pagtulong sa mga estudyante para magbasa at magsulat. Ito ngayon ang challenge sa kanila sa mga unang baitang ng elementarya. At kulang sila sa mga materials, kulang din sila sometimes sa gabay ng pamilya, kulang din sila sometimes sa mga pangangailangan at nutrisyon para ito magampanan. So sa tulong ng mga organisasyon, matutulungan natin ang mga bata para sa kanilang challenges sa pagbasa. So alamin natin ang report ng aming grupo, Group 4. Good afternoon. We will discuss today the mass learning in reading and intervention to an existing educational system in elementary level. Isa pong challenge sa mga guro ang learning poverty to mass learning conversion. Last 2018 PISA report, ang Pilipinas ranked as the lowest in reading and in math in 70 countries. In 2019, grade 5 students as the second to the lowest average score in reading among ASEAN neighbors. In Southeast Asia rank naman, pangalawang Pilipinas to worst in grade 5 students to reading. 2022 World Bank Assessment, 91% ng mga 10 taon na bata unable to understand simple written text, at 9 out of 10 children struggling to read simple text. The Philippine Business for Education, or PBED, nagkaroon ng konsultasyon sa mga stakeholders na 10 to 30% ay hindi nila nami-meet ang competency level. Regarding naman sa No Child Left Behind policy ng DepEd, ay hindi yung dahilan para hindi ma-meet ang competency level.
Philippine Business for Education, in the many years of our work, we've been doing state of education reports in the past where we would really report data on where we are at, and in terms of mass promotion, this is something that hasn't really been captured in terms of data points. But this year, we actually went on ground and we talked to multiple stakeholders, teachers, students, parents, and it became apparent that this was really a practice that isn't talked about, and it's not something that's reported, but it is really happening, and it's happening across the country, and it's happening across multiple schools as well. Regional discussions that we did, we talked to public and private schools, but it is happening in both. But considering that more students are actually in public schools, right? You have about 28 million students across the country in public schools. That is also where it's very prevalent and pervasive as well. So as you shared, it's really just, as you described it earlier, it's really just students getting by or going through the system, whereby they jump or they move from one level to the next without really learning the competencies or mastering the competencies that they're supposed to be learning. So what happens then is that they move up grade levels and they're faced with more complex lessons. They're meant to learn more complex things, but the basics of literacy and numeracy, they haven't mastered yet.
Kapag tinuturuan ko po siya, talaga pong hirap po siya magbasa. Parang kapag tinuturuan ko siya, is limot niya na agad.
CJ is not alone in encountering delays in reading comprehension.
A 2022 World Bank report shows learning poverty in the Philippines is at a high of 91%. This means 9 in 10 Filipino children have a hard time reading and understanding simple text by age 10.
An international assessment in 2018 shows Filipino learners ranked among the lowest in reading and math compared to peers in over 70 countries. In 2019, Filipino grade 5 students had the second to the lowest average score in reading compared to those in ASEAN neighbors. They got the same average scores in math.
Hindi po ganun katutok ang bata eh. Hindi po katulad kapag ka face-to-face, di ba po, na natututukan ng teacher.
High school principal Richard Santos admits some students advance to secondary level without mastering certain skills such as reading. He says lack of home support is among the reasons a student fails to catch up. Poverty resulting in malnutrition also contributes to poor learning outcomes.
If ang mga pumapasok na bata sa education system ay gutom, pumapasok sila na may hindi ganun ka well-developed yung brain functions nila kasi hindi nourished when they were growing up, magiging sayang yung mga investments na to kasi in the first place, hindi sila nakakapag-absorb 100%.
Filipino students ranking low in international assessments is a wake-up call to education officials. The Education Department is dealing with the situation in a direct way, and its first step is to change the curriculum. AC Nichols, CNN Philippines.
And that's the clip from ANC and CNN Philippines. Nandito po naman tayo ngayon sa Aral Act ng Academic Recovery and Accessible Learning Program na isinubuti ni Senator Gatchalian ng Senate Bill number 1604 na sa third and final reading with 22 votes from the Senate. This aims to provide a national learning intervention program which will be grounded on systematic tutorial sessions, well-designed intervention plans and learning resources, and effective and accessible delivery modes for tutors and learners, and among others. Program will be cover essential learning competencies under K-12 curriculum, wherein reading and numeracy will be prioritized. Teachers and para-teachers will be tasked to tutor learners under the program as long as children are not their own students, in coordination with CHED, TESDA, DICT, and DILG for the program implementations. Isang tagumpay po ang Lingap Angat Organization sa pagtulong sa mga bata in coordination with the principal na isa sa mga school sa Mandaluyong. At ang laki po ng improvement ng mga bata from the start at pagtatapos ng assessment ay isang success po na marami po mga bata ang nakakabasa, nakaka-identify ng mga letters at syllabicate yung mga words at of course even sa sentence reading. So, malaki pong improvement at isa itong advokasya ng Lingap Angat para matulungan ang mga batang hindi nakakabasa.
Learning poverty. Ito ay kapag ang isang 10 taong gulang na bata ay hindi nakakabasa ayon sa kanyang karampatang edad. Ito rin ang kasalukuyang ginagamit na indicator para sukatin ang schooling and learning ng mga kabataan.
Ang Philippine education system natin ay struggling and overwhelmed. Kasi imagine niyo po, no, meron tayong ina-address na backlogs pa from the past, no? Yung mga paaralan na wala pang kuryente o even CR hanggang ngayon. Pero we are trying to cope dun sa present problems natin brought by the pandemic. So may past, may present, pero we also have to take note of the demands of the future.
Gaano nga ba kalala ang learning loss sa Pilipinas? Just how much are we lagging behind? At gaano katindi ang backlog na kailangan nating habulin? Here's what you need to know.
A state of learning poverty just indicates that all children, dapat ng mga bata, are able to read with comprehension. By the age of 10, there is already an existing or a pre-existing learning poverty. Pero lumala ito during COVID.
Ayon sa latest data ng World Bank, isa ang Pilipinas sa mga bansa na may pinakamataas na rate ng learning poverty sa East Asia and Pacific region. 9 out of 10 Filipino children ang 10 taong gulang na pero nahihirapan pa ring magbasa kahit ng mga simpleng salita lamang. Ang mga school children na ito na hindi naabot ang minimum reading proficiency ay makukonsiderang learning deprived. Mataas rin ang bilang ng mga batang hindi nakakapasok sa paaralan at 5%.
We are very focused on that. Gusto nating siguraduhin na yung ating learning competencies is very focused on certain aspects sa kakulangan ng ating mga learners. Ngayon nga po, meron tayong Brigada Eskwela Plus kung saan meron tayong reading program, yung bawat bata bumabasa, kung saan tututukan po natin after school reading po yan, kumbaga extra lessons for our learners sa pagbabasa.
Hindi siya shocking, more heartbreaking siya. Meron na akong mga estudyante sa grade 5 na hindi pa magaling magbasa. So alam natin may problema even before the assessments, no? Pero at least meron tayong hawak na baseline ngayon at pwede tayo dun magsimula.
Problema na sa Pilipinas ang madalas na kalamidad na nakakaapekto rin sa ating mga mag-aaral. Lalo na at tayo ay nasa typhoon belt, earthquake belt at ring of fire.
Thank you GMA News TV at ako po si Archie Saonoy ang nag-uulat mula sa Group 4 sa introduction ng Mass Learning and Reading, an intervention to an existing educational system in elementary level. At subaybayan po natin ang SWOT.
Good day everyone, I'm John Daniel Haylon. Today, we delve into the strengths of implementing mass learning and reading as an intervention in the existing elementary educational system. This approach has the potential to transform traditional education. Now, let's explore these first three strengths in detail. First one is convenience of remote learning. Under this are flexibility. Remote learning offers students the flexibility to create a study schedule that aligns with their unique needs. This accommodates different learning rhythms and allows students to optimize their study time. Accessibility. Learning becomes accessible from anywhere with an internet connection, eliminating geographical barriers, especially here in the Philippines. This convenience is particularly beneficial for students in remote areas or those with physical disabilities. Adaptability. Students can adapt their learning environments to suit their preferences, whether it's a quiet room, a cozy corner, or even a bustling cafe. Remote learning allows for a personalized, comfortable setting that can enhance concentration and engagement. Second strength is improve learning outcomes. Under these are, first is data-driven insights. Educators can harness data analytics to pinpoint areas where students may be struggling. This data-driven approach enables targeted interventions, ensuring that no child is left behind. Self-paced learning. Self-paced learning empowers students to take control of their education. They can revisit the challenging content or delve deeper into areas of interest. They may proceed at a pace that suits their individual learning needs. Access to diverse resources. Mass learning and reading opens the door to a wealth of digital resources. Students have access to a multitude of texts, multimedia materials, and interactive platforms, enriching their learning experience with diverse perspectives and formats. Third is personalized learning. Under these are tailored instruction. Every student is unique, so mass learning allows for instruction to be tailored to their specific learning needs. Teachers can provide individualized guidance, ensuring that each student maximizes their potential. Differentiated instruction. Educators can adjust materials and assignments to cater to diverse abilities and interests of students. This differentiation enhances the engagement and ensures that students are appropriately challenged. Goal-oriented learning. Setting personalized learning goals encourages students to be self-motivated and goal-oriented. It instills a sense of purpose and achievement, fostering a positive attitude towards education. These are the first three strengths of mass learning reading.
Good day everyone, my name is Lessa Deputy Valdez and I am here today to share more of the strengths in regards to math learning and reading and intervention to an existing educational system in elementary level. So the fourth one is professional development for teachers. When it comes to online training or resources, teachers have access to a plethora of online training courses and resources. This ongoing professional development equips them with the latest teaching techniques, edtech tools, and strategies to adapt to evolving educational needs. Second is collaboration. Online platforms foster collaboration among educators. They can share insights, best practices, and innovative teaching methods, creating a supportive community of learning professionals. And third is customized learning. Teachers can customize their own professional development, focusing on areas where they need improvement. This personalization ensures that each educator can continuously grow and refine their skills. The fifth one is socialization. When it comes to virtual communities, online platforms facilitate virtual socialization, including discussion forums, group activities, and collaborative projects. This promotes interaction and social development even in a digital environment. Second is global connection. Students can connect with peers globally, exposing them to diverse cultures, perspectives, and ideas. This not only enhances their understanding of the world, but also encourages a broader worldview. And the third is increased parent involvement. Parents can actively participate in their child's education through digital platforms. This strengthens the parent-teacher-student triad, fostering a supportive and involved educational ecosystem. And the last one is school's reputation. Embracing math learning and reading showcases a school's commitment to innovation and adaptability. It sends a powerful message to the community that the school is progressive and willing to embrace new, effective teaching methods. When it comes to broader access, by providing a more inclusive and accessible education, schools can attract a more diverse student population, enhancing their reputation as institutions that value equity and diversity. And the third one is satisfaction of parents and students. A well-implemented math learning system results in higher satisfaction among parents and students. This satisfaction becomes a cornerstone of a school's reputation and can lead to increased enrollment and support. With all of that being said, the strengths of math learning and reading at the elementary level are profound. It offers flexibility, tailored instruction, professional development opportunities, and the chance for students to socialize globally, all of which contribute to an improved educational experience. However, it's important to consider the weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to make informed decisions regarding its implementation. That is why here are more of my groupmates to explain more about math learning and reading and interventions in existing educational systems in elementary level.
The weaknesses that we found for our topic, math learning and reading and intervention to an existing educational system in elementary level in the Philippines. Digital divide. Not all students may have access to the necessary digital devices and internet connections, potentially leaving some behind. The digital divide between urban and rural areas, as well as between wealthier and poorer families, means that not all students have equal access to devices and internet connectivity. This could worsen educational inequalities if the intervention relies heavily on technology. Steps would need to be taken to ensure all students have access to required devices and connectivity. This can be done through government funding, partnerships with tech companies, community and other technology centers. Quality assurance. Ensuring that quality of educational materials and the effectiveness of the intervention may be challenging. Developing high-quality educational materials at scale and monitoring their effectiveness across different contexts is difficult. Poor quality materials and implementation could limit the intervention's impact. Ongoing teacher training, community involvement, and student assessments will be needed to ensure quality and maximize learning outcomes. Regional differences need to be considered as well. Teacher training. Teachers may require additional training to effectively implement math learning approaches. Many teachers are not well-versed in math learning techniques, educational technologies, and remote instructions. Comprehensive training programs will be essential. Training should provide teachers with the skills and confidence to effectively facilitate math learning and leverage technology. Follow-up mentoring may also help. Overcrowded curriculum. Integrating math learning into an already crowded curriculum may be difficult without restructuring the system. Adding math learning to an already packed elementary curriculum, especially in critical subjects like reading, could be overwhelming without re-evaluating and streamlining learning goals. The intervention needs to align closely with curriculum standards. Non-essential components may need to be reduced or removed to create space. Lack of parental involvement. Math learning may require more active involvement from parents, which can be a challenge in some households. Math learning requires parents to actively engage in supplemental instruction and tech troubleshooting. Parents' limited time and education may inhibit their involvement. Parent outreach programs should demonstrate the value of involvement and provide support. Where needed, community volunteers also assist students.
Good evening everyone, my name is Maricar El Puno, and on behalf of Sir Chester de la Paz, I am going to discuss the opportunities. Rationale. This reading, math learning in reading, is to give more support to Department of Education existing reading program, Every Child a Reader program, o yung tinatawag po nating ECARP. The Bureau of Elementary Education or BEE and regional and division offices have launched in 2001 the Every Child a Reader program for yung ECARP. These programs aims to enable elementary grades pupils to communicate and access a variety of information in written and oral forms through effective reading instruction. So narito po yung ating pong DepEd Order number 45 series of 2002, Reading Literacy Program in the Elementary Schools. So may kita po dito sa ating unang box, Every Child a Reader Program or yung ating ECARP, a national program that addressed the trust of the DepEd to make every child a reader at his grade level. So bawat components po ng ECARP, meron po tayong tatlo. First components, Reading Recovery or yung RR, an early literacy intervention designed to reduce the reading and writing difficulties in school. So ito po through intervention nagagawa naman po natin. Ano po? Pangalawa naman po, Philippine Informal Reading Inventory o yung PIL-IRI is a national validated assessment tool for measuring the reading proficiency level of public pupils in both English and Filipino. So yearly po, di ba po, bawat study po nila naglalabas po sila ng result based po sa kanilang assessment tool na hanggang saan na po ba yung kakayanan ng mga bata pagdating po sa English at Filipino. Okay? So yung pangatlong component naman po ng ECARP, we have Philippine Word List in English o yung PWLE. It is the most frequently used words in English textbooks from grade 1 to 3 to norm in the Philippine context, making a standard tool in building and assessing vocabulary development. Next po is capacity of schools, districts, and divisions, reading coordinators and trainers. So the mass reading learning will be facilitated by trained teachers who undergo the year-long apprenticeship training conducted by per CID of the division office. Thus, they became the independent problem solvers in their school. Next naman po, opportunities po natin, fund allotment is part of the School Implementation Plan or SIP and Annual Implementation Plan AIP. Funds and necessary expenses for reading literacy initiatives in school can be charged from the school's maintenance and other operating expenses o yung tinatawag po natin na MOOE. So, syempre po, meron tayong gagawin, meron tayong mga intervention, syempre hindi naman po pwede na i-charge po yan sa atin. So, why not gamitin po natin yung atin pong MOOE per school. So, bawat school po, meron po tayong MOOE. Yun nga lang po, ang MOOE po natin ay depende po sa kung ilan po ang enrolled learners. Lalo na po ngayon sa public, ilan po ang mga students na naka-enroll po sa LIS. Okay? Next po, financial assistance. Also from local government units, Parents and Teachers Association and non-government association can be utilized. So, maaari po magamit yung mga pondo or funds na maaaring manggaling sa mga parents, PTA, and non-government association. Okay po. So, another opportunities naman po na ma-share po namin, under po sa group po namin, is ito pong study, based po sa study po ng World Bank. So, World Bank study says, learning poverty worsen in Philippines. Gatchalian Batch for Education Recovery Reforms. Ayan. So, ang ating mahal na Senator Win Gatchalian ay isa po sa mga nagpupush ng mga batas na may kinalaman po sa ating pong edukasyon. So, yun nga po, katulad po sinabi ko, based po sa pag-aaral ng World Bank, mas lalong lumalala daw po yung yung learning poverty dito sa atin sa Pilipinas. Okay, so kung ganun po yung sitwasyon na mas lumalala, why not i-ma-implement po sana itong ating tinatawag na Senate Bill number 1604 or alam natin na Aral Program Act. So ito po kasi ay nasa third reading pa po. No? So napakaganda po nitong Senate Bill number 1604 po. So under po nito sa section 4 po, establishment of Aral Program. The Aral Program is hereby established to provide a national learning intervention program which shall be grounded on the following premises. So nakalagay po dito Aral Program then learning intervention. A. Well-systemized tutorial sessions which demonstrates higher achievement gains. B. Well-designed intervention plans and learning resources following a learner-centered approach that is supported and empathetic of the learner's needs, motivation, and behavior. Letter C. Effective and accessible delivery modes for tutors and learners. Letter D. Careful determination and assessment of learners, involvement of curriculum and reading specialists and other stakeholders, well-chosen and trained tutors and learning facilitators, and adequate development and provisions of nutritional, social, and emotional and mental health programs to support and ensure the holistic well-being of learners and for them to prosper academically, build resilience against adversity, and be equipped with skills and confidence to seek help for early intervention during their educational journey. So yun po, napakaganda po talaga ng ating aral ako yung Senate Bill natin 1604. So mapapansin nyo po, under po ng act na to, laging nababanggit po yung tutor, yung the word tutor. It's simply because ito nga pong Senate Bill na to is designed as intervention. Intervention po dahil po doon sa lumabas sa pag-aaral na learning poverty or nakikitang learning poverty po. So under ng Section 7, tutor under the aral program. So ito na po, binibigyan na po ng emphasis. So teachers and para-teachers shall be responsible for tutoring learners under the aral program provided that teachers shall not be the tutors of their own learners. Okay, so ma-discuss ko lang po dito. Included na po yung mga para-teachers po natin. Senior high school and tertiary level students may volunteer as tutors provided that they are at or above the 75 percentile of their respective school cohorts in the subject that they will be teaching and have passed a mock tutoring session to be administered by the DepEd. Provided that pre-service teacher as defined under the Republic or RA number 11713 or the Excellence in the Teacher Education Act shall automatically qualified as tutors under this program. Section 8, Capacity Building of Tutors. To successfully improve learning outcomes as envisioned by the ARAL program, the DepEd shall ensure that the tutors receive adequate training as needed, focusing on effective pedagogies, interpersonal skills, social, emotional learning, and cultural competency. So ayun po, napakalinaw po na sinasabi po ng ARAL or Senate Bill 1604 na ito po ay maaari maging tugon at sana nga po makapasa na po or talagang sumampa na para mas maging makatulong po sa ating tinatawag na learning poverty. Napakaganda po nito dahil hindi lang po teachers, hindi lang po kapakanan ng learners, hindi lang po kapakanan ng teachers, hindi lang po kapakanan ng mga sistema, but also yung ating mga para-teachers. No, yung mga para-teachers, sila po yung mga pre-service teachers po natin. Ano po na kung saan, nandito rin po nakapaloob na dapat sila po ay well compensated based nga po doon dito sa nasabing RA 11713. So, mga ma'am and sir, kung mababasa nyo lang po itong ating, ito lang po, Senate Bill number 1604, napakaganda po. So, sana po ito po ay sumaysampa at makatulong po talaga bilang isang intervention sa ating learning poverty na kinakarap na. So, yun naman po. Maraming salamat po.
Good afternoon, teachers. Good afternoon, ma'am. So today we're going to explore another significant threats in the mass learning and reading program, which is our intervention to an existing educational system in elementary level. So before I begin, I am Carmela Bulatao, your reporter for this part. So I will just give an additional threats for our program. The first one is lack of data-driven decision making. So of course, before we apply this program to a large scale, when we say large scale or wide scale, before po natin siya i-apply sa different schools, no, or i-suggest, dapat we have our data first. So paano po ba natin maiiwasan yung kakulangan sa data? Kasi dapat meron po tayong pinanghahawakang data before natin i-implement to. So ano po ba yung mga data na kailangan natin i-collect muna before natin ma-conduct in a wide scale yung ating program? So of course, kailangan alam natin kung yung reading ability ng bawat estudyante. Para naman sa ganun, alam din natin kung sino yung mga students na nag-i-struggle talaga, nag-i-excel, and kung sino yung mga need talaga ng improvement. So this lack of data-driven decision-making can result to inability to tailor instruction to individual student needs effectively. Kasi when we don't use data to make decisions, it's hard to figure out, right? It's hard to figure out if this program will be or will really help students get better at reading. So, or for example, I'll give an example. Suppose our school or your school conduct this program, no, but they don't collect data. So of course, without this data, we can determine if this program is helping the students become better readers, right? Kasi without data-driven decision making, it becomes challenging to assess the actual impact and effectiveness of the mass learning and reading program. So what are we going to do? I think the best way to do is to try it first with like a certain group of students from your school, and then make a survey. Who are the students? Or you can also ask every advisor So who are the students, no, that needs or are struggling when it comes to reading, their ability in reading. So we should collect first. That's why yung ibang program ay hindi nagiging successful kasi they lack of data for them to implement the program itself. So data helps us understand if things are going in the right direction, and without it, probably we're kind of in the dark. So that is for the lack of data-driven decision making. So we also have another threat for this for our intervention, and this is curriculum overload. So hindi lang overload sa high school, sa college, kundi sa elementary din, and this proves this is the evidence, this data is the evidence no, that will prove that that we have a curriculum overload in elementary. So it said here that according to PIDS, that Filipino elementary school students have an average of 34 hours of class time per week, significantly higher than the international level, average of 25 hours. So this curriculum overload make it more challenging to integrate mass learning and reading into the existing curriculum without compromising other essential subjects. Kasi imagine, dun pa lang sa core subject that elementary students need to learn, napakarami ng topics. So pagka in-implement natin itong program na mass learning and reading, there's instance na parang mag-rush lang gawin ito kasi nadagdagan yung kanilang gagawin. Diba? So, pwedeng magkaroon ng rush in learning, lack of focus sa core skills, and a neglect of critical reading comprehension. Kasi having too much stuff to learn in mass learning and reading can be bad for both students and teachers. Paano siya magiging bad sa teachers din? Kasi sila din yung magpa-plan. So, aside from doing a lesson plan, other paperworks, diba? This program will add to their plates also, and also to the students. So, what is the best solution for this? Of course, it is important to find the right balance. We need to teach the important stuff only, but also make sure that there's time for the students to really understand it and get help if they need it. So make it enjoyable for them, but also at the same time they are still learning, they're still developing their reading abilities. So that way everyone can learn better. Kasi it's very stressful sa teachers, and not just sa teachers, students also. So paano siya magiging makakatulong at hindi makakadagdag pa sa iisipin ng students and teachers? Of course, ayun, gawin natin siyang mas learner-centered, and of course, yung focus lang tayo dun sa dapat talaga nilang matutunan kasi ang dami na talagang kailangan pa nilang skills na i-develop dun sa mga core subject. Diba? So to address this threat, it's essential to strike a balance between covering important content and allowing for in-depth learning and individualized support for students. So tamang manage lang talaga and plan talaga ng mabuti sa ating intervention. So ito yung mga threats na pwede natin ma-counter if we're going to conduct this program. So that's all. Thank you for listening.
Mass learning and reading, an intervention to an existing educational system at elementary level. Our part will be discussing the threats of the things that we need to think of how are we going to intervene this kind of problem. Budget constraints. According to the 2022 Global Education Monitoring Report, the Philippines is one of the lowest education spending per student in Southeast Asia. In 2019, the government allocated only 3.6% of the GDP to education, below the global average, which is 4.5%. This limited funding can pose challenges in securing adequate resources for implementing this mass learning and reading effectively. So, it is very obvious and practically wise that our schools are facing budget constraints, and this may struggle to allocate resources to support the program effectively, potentially limiting its impact. Implementing interventions may lead to additional resources such as funding for materials and trainings for teachers. Another threat is the resistance to change. As a part of the review of related literature, contemporary not only in education system, but almost all, that the traditional approach to resistance presents several concerns. Resistance is typically defined as willful opposition which must be overcome. Yet, this definition assumes a position of objectivity on the part of the change agent. In our school, in our problem as of this moment that we're facing, implementing a new program can face resistance from teachers, administrators, and parents who may be skeptically which are resistant about its effectiveness and wary of changes to traditional teaching methods. We as teachers of this century, we are bound for and looking for effective implementation of change, but it remains a crucial concern for educational leaders in the 21st century. One of the factors affecting this is the implementation of the reform is that many are resistant to the changes in our educational system.
The SWOT analysis highlights the potential of the program to make a positive impact on the elementary level of education by leveraging its strength, addressing its weaknesses, capitalizing on opportunities, and mitigating threats. The intervention can contribute to the reading proficiency and educational outcomes for students. This is Archie Saonay on behalf of Group 4. Thank you so much and have a good evening.